Okay, complex steroid prescribing. The first thing I want to show you is how to add adrenal insufficiency to the problem list. So in Power Chart, you're going to problems and diagnoses. So we're going for problems, so it goes across encounters for us. So you click plus add, search adrenal insufficiency, and choose the appropriate one there, which is a SNOMEDed value, helpful for us for reporting and identifying these patients. There's no flag here. If you want it to qualify for the blue banner bar, we'll add a flag and do OK. So we now have a adrenal insufficiency with a clinical risk flag. So searching that gives us a flag and alert, and people will be able to see adrenal insufficiency, and that will flow through to clinician workflow and stuff like that. So that's that. We then want to see a straightforward taper. So hopefully you will have seen this in your original training. So this is just a refresher, hopefully. So go to requesting care plans. We go for prednisolone. So we want to start on 40. Once day in the morning. And then this is the key here. So this little symbol, and just remind myself, 5 milligram every week. So we click that button. We're going to start at 40, and then we're going to reduce by 5 milligrams every 7 days until they are on a dose of 5 milligram. And we can either stop that dose after a further however many days, or we can continue until instructed to stop. So you calculate the steps, and it does it all for you. So you could do each of these doses individually and do the offsets yourself, but this does it nicely and stops mistakes. Okay, so this is very straightforward. And we just go OK and sign. And you kind of get this symbol, and you can see each individual step. A thing that does confuse people is on the drug chart. If we give that a refresh, it will show the first few doses. So I'm looking forward to the 12th of December here, but it only explodes the tasks to the chart 3 days in advance. So you're never going to see your whole regime. But if you're seeing all the steps there with the offset start times, then you know you've done it correctly. Okay. Okay, our second regime here is slightly more complex because you can't do 20 and then 10 and 10 on a single line. So it's asymmetric dosing. So we're going to have to do 2 steps here. So we'll do the 20 going down to 10 in the morning, and then the 10 at lunch and dinner going down to 5 in 3 days. So let's just see that. So that's the morning dose, and we want that to reduce by 10 milligram after 3 days, and then stop on 10 milligram for the foreseeable. So we calculate that out, very straightforward. Okay, just look at that. So it's in the morning, sign. Refresh. And there's our 2 steps there. So that's the morning dose taken care of. We'll then add hydrocortisone again. And this is going to be 10 milligram, but twice a day. Now, if you don't mess with the twice a day, that will go to 8 and 8, which is no good. So we'll click that and hit this ellipsis here, which will let us change that to, for example, say 1300 and 1800. So you can kind of see that on here. We'll go first administration is then, and OK. And having done that, then we'll hit the tapering dose functionality. So we're going to reduce that by 5 milligrams every 3 days until it hits 5 milligram. And we're going to continue on those doses, and we'll calculate the steps. And we're looking good there. We go OK. That you can look at the individual steps. If you're nervous about that, you can see that that's 1 in 6. And this one has inherited that as well. So we'll sign those and refresh. So we have 2 tapers here. And if you go to the drug chart, give that a refresh, we'll see I'm doing this at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So the first dose is the evening dose. So it's going to go 10, 20, 10, 10, 20, 10, 10, 20, 10. That's as far forward as it goes, the 3 days, but then it will step down on the 10th of December to 10 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon. Okay, so the thing I've been asked to show here is, so IV, well, it's the most complex one because it's IV going to oral. It's going from QDS to TDS. It's asymmetric, and then it's asymmetric in a slightly different way, depending on which thing it is. We obviously can't do 2 to 3 days. We need to make a decision. So purposes of this, I'm going to do that. So it's 1 day on the IV, 3 days at this dose, and then reverting back to that dose. I'm just going to pull that onto the other screen so I remember. So let's start with hydrocortisone, intravenous injection. So we're having 50 milligram 4 times a day. There is that symbol saying there's some order comments there. I'll take that out, but you can do as you see fit. Then we're going to hit the taper again. And we want it to reduce down to an oral dose of 20 milligram just in the morning the next day. So we'll do reduce by 30 after 1 day, which will take it to 20 milligram. And then we'll do stop final dose after 3 days of that next step. So we'll calculate those out. So we've got the 50 milligram for 1 day, 4 doses, but this 20 milligram is copied to the intravenous, but we're going to want that to be oral. And then this needs to be tablet. And we don't want it to be 4 times a day. We want it to be 3 times a day. Oh no, sorry, it's just the morning dose we're going to do. So 20 milligram oral once a day in the morning for 3 days. But then we want it to go back to the usual dose. So having fiddled with this one, we'll click this plus button there. And we've still got oral once in the morning. So we're going to go 10 milligram. And we want them to stay on that. So having clicked on that line, we'll just take off the duration. So it's going to be 54 times a day, then 20 in the morning for 3 days, then 10 in the morning. So that's okay. We now need to add the lunchtime dose. So the lunchtime dose is going to be 10 milligram. Lunch, but they're on the IV tomorrow, so we just want to push back that to tomorrow, and then we'll do the taper. So hit that button. So it's doing that pushed back a day. Then we're going to reduce by 5 milligram after 3 days until it's 5 milligram, and we're going to continue with that. Calculate steps, quick sense check that it's right, 8 to the 10th, okay, so that's done. And now we're going to do the tea time dose. So exactly the same deal. So that one's going to be 20 milligram evening meal. But because they're on the IV for the first day, we want to push this back. And then we'll do the tapering. So 20 pushed back, reduced by 10 after 3 days. So your final dose is 10. And they're going to stop on that dose. Calculate steps. And that all looks good. So we're okay. We've got all of those now, so we'll sign. Refresh. We can expand out and look at what we've done. We'll look at the drug chart. And you can see 4 of the IV, then an evening dose of 20, a morning dose of 20, a lunchtime dose of 10, a morning dose of 20, and so on. So it keeps going on, but again, it only goes 3 days into the future. So that is that.